wrestling fans, are you ready? Yes! 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 For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble! I am the voice of the voiceless.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Sorry about your damn luck.
I deserve one more match.
It's going to be the end of the world as you know it.
And welcome back, folks, to WrestleRant Radio right here on EC Radio. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here for a second.
Seriously.
Wait a second. Is that good? Are we good here?
Yes. I don't know.
Okay. I think we're just, I don't know. Jeff put his phone down. Can you move your phone? Maybe that's it.
Might have been the problem.
I don't know. Something happened. I don't know. Maybe it's the audio or something. I don't know. But anyway, folks, we're here on WrestleRant Radio on EC Radio. Coming off of Monday Night Raw last night. A lot of great stuff. So I'll be talking about that. We got the Ultimate Warrior documentary. We'll be talking about that. And a whole bunch of other stuff here on the network. The Legends House. Debut of Legends House last night. Or last Thursday night. We'll be talking about that. As well as, what else happened last night? Monday Night Raw. And, of course, we'll be talking TNA Sacrifice if we have time at the end of the show for some predictions and stuff like that. But that being said, though, we had Monday Night Raw last night, but, of course, hours before the show went live with the unexpected passing of Daniel Bryan's father. We weren't exposed to him on WWE TV at all. It's not like he was a familiar face at all, but Jeff was saying before the show that we had he was on the WWE Network documentary for Daniel Bryan. I think he was on Total Divas at one point, like last year or something.
I don't remember.
Probably for the wedding, yeah.
Something like that.
It hasn't been on yet, but...
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, though, it was still a good episode of Raw. It was a decent episode of Raw, but RJ has plenty to say about that, and we'll be getting to that in just a little bit. But even still, though, I'll be very much looking forward to talking for this week's show. And, even before we get into Monday Night Raw, we got to talk about the Ultimate Warrior's documentary that aired last week on the WWE Network. It was last Thursday, I think it aired. It was a special that aired for him. They did a whole Warrior week on the WWE Network. They had his greatest matches. They had the Legends Roundtable or something along those lines. And on Thursday, they had an in-depth documentary on the Ultimate Warrior, which featured some footage from the from his DVD that came out recently, which I bought over the weekend. Actually, by the way, I'm going to watch that soon. But even still, that we'll probably be watching. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about Monday Night Raw. But even still, the documentary itself was very, very good. I highly suggest going out of your way to watch it. I think I fixed the audio problem, by the way. That was a little weird.
I think you fixed it too.
The level was too high or something like that. But you can hear, though, through your headphones?
Yeah, I can hear fine.
Okay, yeah, we're good. Okay, problem's fixed, folks. But, that being said, the Warrior documentary, like I was saying before, great stuff. And definitely worth checking out, going out of your way to see. Awesome stuff. But they go in-depth about the steroid use of the Ultimate Warrior. They go in-depth about his falling out with WWE, I think in 1996 when he left after the SummerSlam pay-per-view. All that kind of good stuff. So go out of your way to check it out. Even if you don't have the WWE Network, purchase it right now just to watch that alone. Personally, one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, if not the best documentary I've ever seen. It's not really a documentary. It's I don't know. It's an hour-long special, I would say it was, but it was phenomenal. Even if you're not a Warrior fan, you might enjoy it. So it's subjective here, but best documentary I've ever seen. I thought they did a phenomenal job with it. But even before we go any further, we had Jonathan on the line right now. Mr. WWE Report from YouTube will be joining us for today's show. How's it going today, Jonathan?
What's going on, guys?
Nothing much. And, of course, we'll be talking about Raw with Jonathan. But before we get into that, we'll be talking Legends House, which debuted last Thursday night on the WWE Network. Some really good stuff. I enjoyed it. It was, I think, how many years in the making? I know they filmed it, I think, in January of 2012, and it finally debuted all these years later. It was great stuff. Really, really enjoyed it. They had Hacksaw Jim Duggan on there, Tony Atlas, Hillbilly Jim, Howard Finkel, Jimmy Hart, Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Tony Atlas, you say?
Tony Atlas. I think there's a few others. I can't remember them exactly, but Mean Gene Okerlund, I know, is another one. I think 2 more. But even still, though, I really enjoyed it. Legends House has been a long time in the making. They debuted it last Thursday night on the network. I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty much an introductory episode and stuff like that. They introduced that chick, Ashley. I had no idea who that was, and she was only around for like 10 seconds. But for what it was, though, for a debut episode, I thought it was pretty good. Really enjoyed it. So what were your thoughts on it, RJ?
I thought it was pretty good. A nice intro for a show that I've been advertising for a couple of years, and I just liked how they brought the legends back, and I thought it was actually pretty funny. So
yeah, so like I said, it was a nice introduction episode to kind of get people accumulated to the characters if they don't know them. I mean, these are legends from like the 80s and stuff like that, so some people watching the network might not know who they are. But even still, though, I thought it was great, a nice first episode, so go out of your way to watch that. I think, based off the stat that WWE aired last night on Raw, I think it was the most watched program on the network last week. Even more so than the Warrior documentary and WrestleMania 30, and I think Main Event and some other things. But yeah, I thought it was great, so go out of your way to go check that out. Legends House debuting, or will be airing every Thursday night, I think at 8 o'clock, right before Impact. So if you like watching both, you can watch Legends House, or you can even watch NXT right after it, because they go hand in hand. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already. Great show. But that being said, we had Monday Night Raw last night, live from Baltimore, Maryland, 3-hour show. Lots of ups and downs, Extreme Rules. To my surprise, is next Sunday. I thought it was in like mid-May. I had no idea.
Next Sunday?
It's next Sunday because Extreme Rules usually is like 6 weeks after WrestleMania.
It's like a month.
No, this is a month after WrestleMania too, but usually last year it was in mid-May and WrestleMania was at the same exact time last year as it was this year. So usually they build to it a little longer than it.
This month.
Yeah, it's going back quickly. I don't know. But
I feel like the schedule this year is a little messed up.
It is messed up. I didn't know.
There's 2 in June, too.
There's one at the start of June. They
June
had Payback
1st
in June.
Is Payback, and then Money in the Bank's like the 29th or something.
Yeah, in Boston, yeah. And then Battlegrounds in July.
Battlegrounds?
Yeah, I don't know why that's before SummerSlam. That's really weird. But, yeah, Extreme Rules, though, on paper, I think is setting up to be a pretty good show. And now, although last night's Raw was not everyone's favorite show, of course, and RJ will get to that in a minute, I thought they did a very solid job of building up Extreme Rules for the next couple of weeks. They've got Cena versus Bray Wyatt inside the steel cage, The Shield versus Evolution in 6-man tag team action. We've also got Paige versus Tamina Snuka for the Divas Championship. Big E versus the winner of the tournament for the IC title. So we got a number of matches on the card already. I'm looking forward to it. It looks to be a good show. Extreme Rules is almost always entertaining. I can't remember a bad Extreme Rules show. My only complaint about Extreme Rules is that it goes against the theme of every match being extreme. The only extreme match that we have thus far is a cage match, and also the
Daniel Bryan vs. Kane match, too.
Yeah, that's Extreme Rules now. That's been made an Extreme Rules match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. But aside from that, though, the other matches aren't really all that extreme. We have a handicap match with Rusev against Woods and Truth. I don't know how extreme that is. But even still, though, hopefully they add steps to those matches. Otherwise, and what someone suggested to me a couple of days ago was that they move not Backlash, but Payback after WrestleMania, which makes the most sense if they're going to pull this again, and then move Extreme Rules to June, which was where it was originally a couple years ago. So I wouldn't be mad to see that happen. If anything, I would be very happy to see those two pay-per-views switch places, because right now it doesn't make much sense to call it Extreme Rules if only 2 of the 6 matches currently advertised only have steps to them. So before we break down Raw segment by segment, the opening segment, the ending segment, we'll just let RJ just go off on a tangent here, just so he doesn't blow up in different segments of the show. We'll just let him air his dirty laundry over here on the show, air his grievances.
Grievances?
A
lot of them.
Have him drop a pipe bomb, which is ironic because he's not a CM Punk fan.
No.
But even still, though, RJ, your thoughts overall last night on Monday Night Raw?
I thought Raw last night was pretty bad. That's pretty. It's not. That's like pretty bad. That's like sugarcoating. I thought it was really bad.
That was terrible.
The W champion was. I didn't see it, but he was on for like 10-15 minutes, which makes no sense. He was gone for a week, so if anything, they should have better segment with him. Then he gets killed by Kane, who last time we saw him with a mask was a comedy skit with Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
It was a joke, and then he turned to the corporate Kane, and now he's a monster again. But somehow 2 weeks ago he was jobbing against the Shield, but now he's amazing, which I don't get at all. And now, after that, I'm going to go to Evolution, who I've seen. I grew up watching Evolution, who are always the badass guys. all highly dressed, high corporate people. Ric Flair, even though he's not there, I think it's tainted now that Ric Flair's not there because he kind of was like the mentor. But I just feel like this is a new, not good Evolution. Doesn't like give you the same feel as Evolution. Like they were like the guys you fear. Like they didn't have to have 11 crappy heels come out on Raw and protect them against the Shield. Like they came out and beat people's asses. Yeah. And they were pro wrestling back in 2004, 2003. Yep. And I just think right now it's just pretty much like a crappy re-up of Evolution. I think it's worse because they had DX come back, but they were actually still had the same vibe as DX did back in the day. But now this Evolution's kind of a tainted version, which is kind of killing the product. And now that Batista's supposedly going to leave after Extreme Rules, what's the point of bringing Evolution back for one pay-per-view? If anything, they were going to do it one time. They should have done it at SummerSlam and make it a good stip so that it's actually marketable. And if they're going to wrestle the Shield one time, it's a waste of time.
Well, for what's being rumored at the moment, this whole thing is being, I guess the whole goal of this feud at the moment is to put Roman Reigns over in a big way. For this, I think it should be the other way around, in my opinion. You do the singles matches and whatever, and then you build up this sexy six-man tag team match of the Shield versus Evolution, a match I still highly anticipate. But even still, though, I guess what they're trying to do here is do Triple H versus Roman Reigns, build that up to SummerSlam, which I don't know how they'll do, because if you do this six-man you do this at Extreme Rules, like you said, Batista, it's not 100% confirmed, but from what's being rumored, he's taking time off after Extreme Rules.
Usually if it's rumored, it's pretty true, too.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you got to take it with a grain of salt when it comes to the dirt sheets, but this seems like it's pretty likely. It's Batista. It's not like they're saying John Cena's turning heel next week, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But Batista taking time off does seem pretty likely, and I'm fine with that, but I just don't know where it leaves a lot of these top players going into the subsequent
where
months.
does this put Orton now that if Evolution's going to be done and Triple H is going to focus on Roman Reigns, what are they going to do with Randy Orton? Is he going to go in the same place that Sheamus and Big Show have been the last couple of months? Like, I feel it's so stupid that they brought Evolution back. I thought this would be a long feud they could maybe pull off until SummerSlam, maybe have like Randy Orton fight Dean Ambrose or one or the other. But now they're just going to be one pay-per-view, then they're going to like disband this whole feud.
Randy Orton's too good to bury too. Like you gotta
exactly. He just had the World Heavyweight and WWE Championship for the last 4 or 5 months. And, yes, which he rocked, and then all of a sudden he's going to go down to a mid-card guy. Right. Like, it's so stupid.
I don't think he'll go down to a mid-card guy because
he's not going to wrestle. He could wrestle in the main event, but we've seen him versus Daniel Bryan 100 times.
A million. I don't want to see that feud again. But the only reason why I say that is because if you really look at the top heels right now, we don't have many of them because right now we have
Kane.
We have Evolution. Well, I mean, Kane, I guess. I don't know how long that's going to last, but we have Evolution, Batista, Triple H, Orton. Yep. Batista might be taking time off after Extreme Rules. Triple H is not a guy that will be wrestling on Raw every week, so I don't really technically count him. And then we have Bray Wyatt, and that's Cesaro. I don't really know where you put him because he's like on the.
He's going to have to turn heel.
He's not. Well, I mean, he is heel.
He is heel. Yeah. He is heel, but so swagger. So it makes no sense because they're both heels.
Yeah, but I don't think
very swagger.
We'll get to that in a moment, but I don't think they'll do that at Extreme Rules. I think they'll do Cesaro versus RVD because they're doing that match at SmackDown. They're doing him versus Swagger at SmackDown, and then that's the whole reason behind that confrontation last night. From what I got out of it, because Paul Heyman was telling RVD that you can't beat him, without any shenanigans.
Yeah, but what's the point of having them wrestle Extreme Rules then?
Because Cesaro wants to get his win over RVD. Just have him beat RVD at the pay-per-view. Because what else is he going to do? Face Swagger? And you said yourself that would be on the pre-show.
But if anything, they should have... If they're going to go off the angle that RVD can't beat him fairly, they should definitely have him face Cesaro at Extreme Rules and then make it mean something. Like, if he beats RVD, then he fights whoever wins.
The IC turn.
Yeah, exactly. Make it meaningful. Who cares if he comes back and beats RVD?
Yeah.
No one.
No, I know what you mean. I think it'd be a very good matchup because last night's matchup.
Also on that match, the fastest 10 count I have ever seen in a match.
That was really strange.
He literally counted 1, 2, like it was ridiculous. Like, geez, make it more obvious that he's gonna lose.
Yeah.
Once he started counting fast, I was like, this is so stupid.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, what are your overall thoughts on last night's Raw before we break it down segment by segment?
All right. Well, like you said, the opening segment with Daniel Bryan coming back, I just don't understand the whole thing with Kane putting Daniel Bryan versus Kane at Extreme Rules. I mean, does anyone actually believe that Kane could be WWE World Heavyweight Champion? I mean, I don't know if anyone sees that, and just the whole thing with him being with Daniel Bryan in the past, then being corporate Kane, and now all of a sudden coming back with the mask. I just don't understand that whole thing. Now, overall, the show, there wasn't really anything special, just hyping up Extreme Rules and all the matches. The ending, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, I just didn't get the ending whatsoever, just the Wyatt family beating down John Cena and then just Raw ending. No special thing happening to cap off and end the show.
Well, we'll target this first at the opening segment involving Kane and Daniel Bryan and the controversy surrounding Kane versus Daniel Bryan. And this is a match people have been pitching for a number of weeks now because a lot of people assumed coming out of WrestleMania that we'd see this matchup at Extreme Rules.
I can see where he says, like, why would Kane be in the feud, but literally there's no... With the Evolution versus the Shield and Bray Wyatt with Cena, there literally is no other heel that they could possibly put against Daniel Bryan.
I can see why they're doing it, and... a lot of people don't agree with it. I'm not saying I'm looking forward to it and I'm all for it, but I can see why. First of all, why it makes sense, and I'm not going to hate on this matchup, if only because their matches aren't terrible. Bryan and Kane work well together. They have good chemistry. They're not like CM Punk, John Cena matches, or name an amazing match or whatever. And you know what I mean? Like they don't have great chemistry, you know what I mean? But they have good chemistry.
Exactly.
They have solid matches. The Extreme Rules stipulation will only help it for one thing. Because last night's opening segment I thought was great in putting heat back on Kane. Because if you're going to build back up Kane, I know no one takes him seriously as a threat. We all agree on that. But if you're going to try to build him back up, that's the best way to do it, by having him beat the living crap out of Daniel Bryan. And I initially was complaining about this on Twitter last night because Bryan wasn't able to say anything, but I think it's quite obvious at this point in time that he wasn't... I guess he didn't want to say anything, or they didn't want to have him say anything, if only because his father passed away. I guess maybe he wasn't... Because he came down, he obviously did not look well. Because he was crying when he was walking down to the ring. He was still obviously broken up about his father's passing. So I'm okay with him not saying anything. But Kane not being seen as a threat... And I like masked Kane better, but I agree with what you guys were saying... in that, and a lot of people have said this, in that the last time that we saw Kane with that mask on, same exact look, didn't change anything about his look at all. And if you're going to go back to being masked Kane, maybe bring back the other mask, or change up his look or something. I was going to
go with that. Like, even though The Undertaker has been phenom, badass, phenom, again, he's never changed the character, he's always been the dead man, always been like the same guy, like it's never been like different. Now that Kane's comedy, how can people all of a sudden take him serious again?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Abyss and TNA. It's like the exact same thing.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Obviously, it's the two different... It's same character, kind of, but...
The whole thing, Eric Young and Abyss, is like the equivalent to what they're doing with Bryan and Kane.
But it's just like I said, they already broke his character, so how can he be funny, comedy, and now all of a sudden he's a monster again, which makes zero sense. And I think it's also stupid that they had him kind of like come out of nowhere and attack him. Yeah. They're going to build him out as a monster. He should have just came right down the ramp. Daniel Bryan should have got someone in offense instead of just getting absolutely killed by him.
Yeah.
Like, make an attempt. Like, he comes through the crowd. Like, that's so stupid.
For one thing, in the segment's defense, I think the crowd responded well to this. They were very into the attack from Kane. They were very sympathetic towards Daniel Bryan. I agree that he should have gotten more offense than he did. But and I don't think this is a burial of Bryan or anything dumb like that. Yeah. It's just building Kane back up as a monster. Bryan, it was to get him off TV for the rest of the night. And we'll talk about this real quick, too. Because with the unexpected passing of Daniel Bryan's father, who knows what this Raw would have looked like. And I didn't really think about this last night. But a lot of people have been saying, oh, this is a major rewrite of Raw. And it very well might have been. But Cena and Wyatt hasn't main evented Raw in a number of weeks. So I'm fine with that closing the show. And we'll get to that in a little while, too. But Daniel Bryan, with him being taken off the show last night, didn't say a word, had his honeymoon last week, wasn't on the show at all last week, and he was the star of the show the night after WrestleMania. Yeah. So now reports are saying that Daniel Bryan might not even be on next week's show. When I'm not going to why isn't he on next week's show? I mean, if he has to deal with his father's passing and the funeral and that kind of stuff, that's fine. But I mean, if they're going to have him take the week off just because to sell the attack, that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, but they can't sell the attack because Extreme Rules is on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people, the reports are saying that he'll take the weekend live events off, which is fine, but he has to show up on Raw in some form or fashion because, for one thing, he's a champion. So if he misses one Raw, okay.
He's missed 2 Raws.
Now he'll miss 2 Raws, and this is a good way.
The thing is, I don't think he'll miss 2 Raws because he'll probably bury his father and have all the services this week anyways.
Yeah.
If he died over the weekend, they're not going to bury that out for 2 weeks. They'll probably have the funeral and that later in this week.
Yeah.
And I think he knows now that he's a tough guy. Even though, like, stuff that did happen, like, he has to be, like, you have to be there.
Yeah.
And I think it's also stupid, like...
They got to build a match.
If he was going to get this whole push, they should probably, like, move the wedding to a later date when he didn't have the championship. Instead of having... He kind of, like... Seems like he's a part-timer, like he's there sometimes, he's there.
But, yeah, it's like The Rock being
exactly.
champion or something. And nothing against him, I mean...
I know, like, I'm not going to say, like, he can't, like, not miss Rock because his dad died, but, like...
Yeah.
It's just kind of the vibe, like...
It's just bad timing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really bad timing.
It's bad timing,
yeah.
But, I don't know, I think...
He rushed a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly, but...
It's been a roller coaster for the last few weeks, for Daniel Bryan. It's not like he won't appear in Raw, so let's take the title off him. They're not going to take the title off him. Exactly. He's fine. So, Jonathan, I want to get your quick thoughts on this as well. So your thoughts on Daniel Bryan potentially not being on next week's Raw.
He's going to be on
and
Raw.
If he'll be on Raw, your thoughts and the matchup with Kane, so your further thoughts on that as well.
Well, like RJ said, he's the champion, and all the stuff going on now, I mean, missing a lot of events this weekend, obviously, but he should be able to be on Raw Monday. I mean, he is the champion. Sadly, these things do happen. I mean, nothing like this has happened in my life, so don't get me wrong, but Daniel Bryan, he just has to be on Raw Monday, especially with Extreme Rules being on Sunday. I mean, maybe do something like The Rock used to do via satellite, I mean, if anything. But we have to see Daniel Bryan on Raw, and like you said, in any form or fashion.
Yeah, because this isn't the first time they did this either. They did this a few weeks before WrestleMania. Remember when he sold the attack but from Triple H, and then he didn't show up until the end of Raw and the final Raw before WrestleMania? So maybe that's what they do last week. Maybe they tease up that he won't be on Raw, and he shows up at the end of the show and beats up Kane. I don't know. They'll do something. He has to be on the show in some way because they got the pay-per-view on Sunday. And, I mean, the attack on Bryan was very strong, and I enjoyed it. And they did a very good job of building up the feud, but that's not enough. They got to do something next week. And Kane beating the heck out of R-Truth or something isn't going to cut it. They need to do something to build up this feud, you know what I mean? So that was the opening segment. Oh, and we'll talk about this real quick, too. Another aspect of the segment some people didn't understand. I didn't really care for this all that much, or this is kind of nitpicking things, but RJ, I'll start with you. Do you think it was pointless to have Brie Bella out there because she didn't really do anything? She wasn't abducted or kidnapped or whatever. Do you think her presence out there wasn't really needed, or do you think it doesn't matter?
I don't think it does. I don't think it matters at all. But if anything, they should put her in a storyline with Stephanie McMahon. I think.
Yeah.
I think that'd obviously be good. But I think she was out there just like to console him.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
And like sell like Kane monster, like scream and yell, like
yeah.
Even though
I don't want to see it like I don't want to see Brie Bella versus Stephanie or anything, but I mean I guess if they incorporate Brie Bella into the storylines, it'd be cool because we know obviously from Total Divas and the fact they've acknowledged it time and time again that they are indeed married. She's a diva, so there's really no reason not to incorporate her into the storylines. So I would love to see that. Just like I crossed the line like when last year when they were going to do Bella versus Bella, when they were doing the Bryan versus Cena storyline, they were going to do a Bella storyline. That was dumb. So I'm glad they didn't go with that. But as long as, I mean, this isn't that though. This is her versus like the one of the faces of the company, like behind the scenes, and Stephanie McMahon. So I think that's pretty cool.
I think it's also good that she's in the storyline because right now she's not really doing anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Brie Bella or Brie Bella?
Brie Bella.
Right? Okay, yeah.
She's not doing anything.
Yeah, she's not in the title chase or anything, and she won't be because Paige is champion anyway. So, Jonathan, I'll ask you this real quick, too. Do you think Brie Bella's presence last night during the opening segment of Raw was necessary, or does it not really matter to you either?
Well, I could agree it didn't quite matter, but, I mean, with her being out there and nothing happening, as of yet anyway, it didn't seem reasonable to have her out there unless, like you guys said, she will be incorporated into the storyline soon. But just being out there and not being attacked by Kane in any way, it seemed like at one point distracting Kane, allowing Daniel to get back up. But other than that, there wasn't. I didn't see a reason for her being out there.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch to have Brie Bella console Daniel Bryan, but as far as the whole Kane attack thing, I didn't think it was. It didn't bother me, but I just didn't think it was necessary. Yeah,
totally not necessary.
Yeah, it wasn't really all that necessary, but whatever. It is what it is. But we'll move on now to the Intercontinental Championship tournament. We had the semifinals match last night. both matches I thought were really good. And the match of the night to me was Sheamus versus Bad News Barrett. I thought that was an excellent matchup. They always work well together, so that didn't really surprise me. I thought that was great. And they also had Cesaro versus RVD, which I thought would be better than it was. It was a little clunky at spots. Like RVD, at one point in the match, he jumped out of the ring to Cesaro, and it looked like he hit Cesaro, but I guess he hit him with an uppercut, and the commentators were like, oh, Cesaro reversed it. Like, it was weird. Right. So that was confusing to me. And then RVD picking up the win. And I picked Cesaro to win the tournament, so I was wrong there. But and I'm fine with Bad News Barrett winning if that is indeed the case. And we'll get to that in a minute. But and they had Swagger interfere to distract Cesaro. And we talked a little bit about this at the start of the show in regards to what they'll do at Extreme Rules with Cesaro, with RVD, with Swagger. And we'll get into that in a minute. But Jonathan, I'll start with you. What are your initial thoughts? What are your current thoughts on the Intercontinental Championship tournament and the finals match next week between Bad News Barrett and RVD? Who's your pick to win?
Well, first off, like you said, originally my pick was Cesaro, but now the whole thing with Swagger coming in, that's either going to set up Cesaro versus Swagger, but most likely setting up Cesaro versus Rob Van Dam, following Jack Swagger's interference with Cesaro, Rob Van Dam winning, the whole thing backstage going on there. But Sheamus and Barrett had a great match. Like you said, they both really worked great together. Sheamus really stepped up last night going up against Barrett. And Barrett did win, so right now it looks like Barrett will pick up an easy win against Rob Van Dam next week, go into Extreme Rules, and most likely win the title.
I was very surprised because when Bad News Barrett first came back, he looked like he was going to be like the whole Bad News Barrett gimmick is like a low card gimmick. I love Wade Barrett. I'll say that much. I love Wade Barrett. World champion material, in my opinion, has been for years now. They've underutilized this guy for years and years and years. And I don't want to get my hopes up because they've done so many start and stop pushes with this guy. It's ridiculous. Like, if he wins at Extreme Rules, yay, it's all nice and good that he's IC champion, but they put the title on him the last time and he bombed. Like, he lost every single match. So I hope that this time is this 100th time's the charm with this guy Wade Barrett. But I guess they have hope, they have faith in Barrett because otherwise they wouldn't have given him a clean win over Sheamus of all people, which was unheard of. I mean, Batista beat Sheamus clean, but aside from that, Sheamus hasn't taken too many clean losses in the last few since he turned babyface a few years ago. So I thought the match was great. Bad News Barrett. I don't see Bad News winning a world title. Maybe if he goes back to Wade Barrett. But I will say this, though. I'm not a huge fan of the gimmick, and I haven't been from the start because the whole use of it has been strange. But when he first said, I've got some bad news for you, it was over with the live audience. They reacted to it. They responded, and they recited the line with Wade Barrett. So that's a good sign that the act is getting over. But RJ, your thoughts on the tournament, your thoughts on... We'll start with Sheamus versus Barrett. We'll talk about Cesaro and RVD in a minute. So your thoughts on that, and who's your pick to win the title the title tournament next week?
Well, the only thing I saw from the Sheamus Wade Barrett match
you
was
didn't catch the entire
I saw the
thing,
bull
yeah.
hammer. That
Yes,
was it.
the finish.
That's the only thing I saw. I saw the finish, so I can't really comment on that. But
this is awesome, Chance. That was surprising.
yeah, Cesaro and the RVD match was kind of. I don't know. I feel like they didn't have a good.
They held back.
Yeah, I don't think they had like good chemistry in the ring. I feel like it was kind of awkward at times. And then Swagger coming out, and then the whole 10 count. Yeah, I kind of thought it was kind of like a cheap win. If anything, I could see him beating Swagger on SmackDown, and maybe like somehow incorporating him into like a triple threat on Monday, and whoever wins that goes IC title, and maybe he wins that and then faces Big E. Yeah, because I feel like no one would care if Bad News Barrett was the IC title. Yeah, I feel like after him winning the Andre the Giant Memorial, he has to like win something. Like they can't just give it to him and just like not do anything with him.
We'll talk about Cesaro right now too, because he's in a very weird position. Because like during the backstage segment specifically, who was saying it? I think RVD was saying it about Paul Heyman, like don't trust this guy with your money, your checkbook, whatever else, because this guy will backstab you. And it's weird because they've only been together for like 2 weeks, and I love the pairing of Heyman and Cesaro. I think it's great. They have great chemistry, but I think they should have done this like a year ago instead of the whole Real Americans thing, which I thought they're a great tag team in my opinion. I know Jeff isn't a huge fan or wasn't a huge fan. But I love that tag team. But it wasn't the I think that if they put him with Heyman earlier, then it would have been better for Cesaro. He could have been a single star a lot earlier than he has been. He would have gotten over earlier. But it's weird because the fans were cheering him like just a few weeks ago, and when he came out last night to that weird entrance music, that generic music, it was really odd. Like they don't know whether to cheer him or boo him or what. Because like when RVD won, they didn't boo, like they didn't cheer. They kind of booed. They were disappointed because they want Cesaro to win. So I don't know. I think if Barrett wins the title, that's okay. They just got to book him nicely. Like with Big E, I said this last week, but whoever's champion, it doesn't matter if it's Cesaro or Bad News Barrett or Yoshitatsu. They just got to book these people better. You know what I mean? I don't think it does matter who's champion, but it's just a matter of the booking of these people. Sometimes it's not the person themselves. But and I think Curtis Axel was an exception. I mean, his personality kind of hindered him during his run, but whatever. That's another story for another day. So, RJ, I'll get your thoughts real quick on this, too. What are your thoughts on the whole Cesaro thing? Do you see him turning babyface? I mean, I guess they could do him versus Barrett for the title down the line, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Like you said, I feel like he's in like kind of a weird state right now. I feel like the entrance music kind of like threw me off too much.
I don't know.
Like it was like a siren.
I hope it's temporary.
I hope. To be honest with you, I feel like it just kind of like threw his character. I don't. I think it kind of just like threw off the crowd. Like they're like, what is going on here? I thought it was like a new guy at first.
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought.
And then out comes Cesaro, and I was like, Jesus.
Lady Tapas in WWE, folks.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that if he doesn't win the IC title, then it's just what's the point of him winning the Under Giant more? I feel like I've already threw away the fact that he won it.
Well, that was just to separate him from Swagger.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't matter. Like he wins this, instead of Paul Heyman keep mentioning that he won it, they're still talking about Lesnar beating the streak, which I still think is good. How they keep beefing up Lesnar even though he's not there. I think it's stupid how they don't keep saying how Cesaro won the Andre the Giant more. So I feel like it's all of a waste of time, and no one even remembers he won because they don't even bring it up because he broke the trophy the first week he had it, and they don't even care anymore. The whole Cesaro character, if he does not win the IC title, is literally going to be a big failure. I feel
no, I completely agree on the Paul Heyman thing. He's excellent on the mic. His promo was very entertaining, and I'm fine with them mentioning the whole Brock Lesnar thing because it kind of the streak ending was huge, one of the biggest stories in years.
But they need to make it relevant that he won that.
Yeah. But they're making Cesaro seem like second fiddle to Brock Lesnar.
Well,
he is. But I mean, you shouldn't say that. You know what I mean? Like they should definitely play up the fact that he won the Battle Royal. So they boost up his achievements. I completely agree with that because Brock Lesnar's not here, and I guess he won't be here for the next few weeks or at least until SummerSlam. So I don't know what they'll do with Brock Lesnar. But in terms of Cesaro, though, I don't know what they'll do with him. They just got to boost him up, and his match with RVD wasn't great. And we were talking about this a little earlier on, and a lot of people were upset that they're not doing Swagger versus Cesaro at Extreme Rules because when it was announced for SmackDown, I saw some people like, oh, why aren't they doing this at the pay-per-view? Because I know RJ was saying before that a win over RVD wouldn't be huge, but I think a win over RVD, over a face in RVD, would be better than a win over Swagger, a heel. I think more people would care about the match would be better, and that Cesaro might get more out of it. I know it's not going to give him like the boost of the world. And then after that, he can move on to the IC title chase. He could face Bad News Barrett or even Big E if he wins. I don't know. But he doesn't. I don't think the fact that he won the Battle Royal doesn't mean he needs to win the IC title, but he definitely needs to be put in something meaningful. So as long as he's put in a feud with RVD for the next few weeks, that's okay. And then after that, he can go on to feud with whoever else. Because we were talking about this last week. What do they do with John Cena after the Bray Wyatt feud? Can you do Cesaro, John Cena? They had a great match a couple months ago. Would you like to see that?
I would like to see it, but I don't know what they do with it. Like, how do you start a storyline between Cena?
Yeah, I don't know. They just got to be creative. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think if anything, they'll draw Cena versus Bray Wyatt till after Payback.
Yeah, until
Bray Wyatt will probably beat him at Extreme Rules, and they'll get their Payback match.
Yeah, get that one last match out of him, the rubber match.
To be honest, I hope that feud kind of ends soon. I'm tired of that match.
It's getting weird.
Last night was so weird.
We'll get to that too. Then the main event segment because we have a lot to talk about that too. But Jonathan, I want to get your thoughts on this real quick. Basically, from what we were just talking about, what do you see happening in Extreme Rules? Do you see the Swagger Cesaro match on SmackDown going to a no contest or something to set up an Extreme Rules match at the pay-per-view, or would you rather see, or do you see RVD versus Cesaro being added to Extreme Rules instead?
Well, Cesaro is in a pretty sticky situation along with the whole creative angle that they're going with. Now, Cesaro versus Swagger, a lot of people obviously been wanting that for a couple months now, actually. And I'd rather it be Cesaro over Swagger. I mean, Cesaro, as being built right now, is more dominant than both Rob Van Dam and Swagger. So I see Swagger going up against Cesaro this Friday on SmackDown. Cesaro either winning, it being a no contest, or maybe something like Rob Van Dam coming out, which seems very slim chances of happening. But I don't know. This is a pretty tough situation with the whole Cesaro thing. But if you don't mind me saying, last night during the Paul Heyman promo, if you guys noticed, it went to commercial in the middle of him talking.
Yeah.
And then he tweeted a picture that said, "This is what happened during the commercial," and it showed Paul Heyman sitting down like CM Punk used to do.
Yeah. I didn't see the picture. Yeah. No, go ahead.
I'm just confused on if he was like, I don't know why he did that because of the whole CM Punk thing, and I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I think it's okay. It's not like they were burying CM Punk. It's the same thing that he did a couple months ago when in Chicago, because they mentioned CM Punk like he didn't break the streak or something like that. They referenced him as the Paul Heyman guy who didn't break the streak. It was during commercial break. I'm a huge CM Punk fan. I'm not dying for them to mention it. And they acknowledged the situation. They moved on. They're not chanting for CM Punk anymore. Like when the whole John Cena sucks or let's go Cena, CM suck, or John Cena sucks, or something like that. Cena sucks. They're not saying CM Punk anymore, which is good. Because that was annoying. Because CM Punk left. We don't need to get in a whole thing about this. But I thought that was fine. It was during commercial break, so I didn't see the picture. But that was interesting, though. But if it was during commercial break, Paul Heyman's CM Punk's friend, so it's not like he was taking a jab at him. They talk all the time, apparently, because Paul Heyman did an interview with, I think, Sam Roberts a couple weeks ago. He said they text all the time and stuff like that. So it was really nothing notable. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting as well when I heard about that. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was, the Divas, because we were talking about, Jonathan was mentioning this to me before. But we're going to go out of our way to talk about this, and RJ has a bit of some ranting thoughts on this as well. So last night we saw two Divas matches, one of which was Emma versus Layla. So this never-ending feud between Emma and Santino and Fandango and his new valet and Layla continued last night. The match itself was fine. Layla's a very good worker. Emma's a very good worker. They're both good workers. The match itself was good. I'm just not a fan of how they're utilizing Emma. Layla, I'm okay with, because they're not going to do anything with her regardless. So her with Fandango is okay, like, whatever. But the fact that they're utilizing Emma in this role is disgusting.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, I'll start with you first, and I'll get to your ranting thoughts next, RJ, because I know Jonathan wanted to discuss this. So, Jonathan, what are your thoughts on the Emma versus Layla match last night, the whole feud with Santino, and the whole Cobra sex hand thing last night that they had going on last night, and your thoughts on how they're utilizing Emma at the moment?
Well, this whole thing is pretty pointless.
Yep.
They need to find something better for Emma. They need to find something better for Fandango. When the whole thing, he was so hyped when he first was going to debut. It was big at first, the whole crowd thing, the Fandangoing, and look at him now. He's feuding with Santino, and this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Emma, she's a great diva. She could be huge in the upcoming months, next coming weeks even, but they just have to change the direction that she's in. And with Layla's a great diva as well. But the whole thing with Fandango dumping Summer Rae, I don't understand that, especially with Summer Rae. I don't know what's next for her even.
I'm fine with Fandango, how they're utilizing him. The difference between Emma and Fandango, and I mean, Emma's gimmick kind of not limits her, but she has that goofy gimmick to begin with, so I could see why they're like, oh, let's put two and two together and put Santino together with her. But with Fandango, he had a limited gimmick to begin with, so I don't see him being anything big. Like we said last week, very good worker. I'm a fan of Johnny Curtis.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this because I'm not a fan of Fandango, just... And a feud between him and Santino doesn't surprise me, to be honest.
His gimmick limits who he can wrestle with.
Exactly. So It's just the use of Emma in this entire thing that really bothers me the most. Makes no sense. And Santino is beyond stale to the point.
Oh my God.
There's nothing that... What else can he possibly do? The people don't care about him.
Yep.
They don't care about Hornswoggle and Torito. I don't even know if we'll have time to rant about this. Because the reaction to the match...
Awful.
The reaction to the match they had last night was... And they even had one on main event like 10 minutes ago, like an hour ago. And no one cared then either. That's a whole other rant, but... With Emma, though, she's very, very talented. I'm hoping this is only temporary. They put her in the Divas title picture or something, because the way they're using her right now is ridiculous, because this whole thing with Santino is a complete waste of her talent. And she's getting over, too, like the whole Emma dance thing. I mean, people like that. And that's not huge or anything. It's not as big as Fandango was, but it's getting over gradually. But being put with Santino just is mind-boggling. So, RJ, your ranting thoughts.
I think it's so stupid that she's with Santino. I think it's so dumb. She's a great worker. She has great moveset. She can get the crowd going, but then they stick her with stupid Santino, who's seen the same stupid gimmick the last 3 years. The Cobra's the
7 years. He's been
exactly. The stupid Cobra. I do not know how anyone can get beat by that, but that's beside the point. And then now they have her with her own Cobra. And then the whole sex thing with the Cobra, which is so stupid. They literally need her. I don't care if she's like wrestling other divas, but
at least she's on her own.
Exactly. They need to get rid of her with Santino, because it is the stupidest thing ever, and they're underutilizing her talent pretty much. Like, she could have a good match with the Bellas, and we've seen plenty of good matches with her on NXT with Paige.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's had some great matches on NXT with Paige.
Absolutely.
I'd rather see her on NXT wrestling actually good match than seeing her on Raw with some stupid segment with Santino. The match with Layla was good.
It was
not like it wasn't a bad match, but once she pulled out the Cobra...
No, everything behind it was
yes.
dumb.
Once the Cobra came out, I was like, Jesus, not... Like, they're making this even worse than it already was.
They also only face Fandango and whoever...
Yeah, exactly.
And then Emma wins...
Every time.
The pin. Like, the
she
match
pins
is
every time.
Santino versus Fandango, then she pins the other girl.
Yeah. The only good thing about her being with Santino, at least she's getting airtime. At least she's not one of the divas, like, not getting used at all. Yeah. She is getting used, but not right. Yeah. She should be on her own, wrestling good divas, and that should be it. We've seen her and Paige wrestle. They had great match on NXT. She's wrestled other girls on NXT and had great matches. She can get good matches. I think eventually she will feud with Paige, but right now they're not using her correctly, and that's pretty much it.
No, yeah, I completely agree. And going back to the Summer Rae thing too, I think it's fine that they replaced her with Layla, because Summer Rae I think could be very good on her own. She proved that on Total Divas.
Yeah, but what are they gonna do with her now?
Well, for right now, it's not like they broke her away from Fandango and now they're not using her. Apparently, based off the leaked script from last week that leaked online, she's off filming the Marine 4 with The Miz, and she'll be gone for a month. So when she comes back, she'll be doing something when she gets back from inactivity. So what they do with her, I don't know. If they do her versus Paige, maybe she comes back and brings the BFFs to the main roster. Yeah. You know, Sasha and Charlotte. I'd be fine with that. You know, bring the NXT storyline to the main roster.
Get rid of Rosa Mendez.
Yeah, exactly.
Oksana.
You do that.
Yeah, you can axe plenty of the divas.
You do that until AJ comes back, which I think they should give her another month off or so. You can even, I said this in my video yesterday, but you can wait until SummerSlam to do that matchup. I think it's very fine. I don't think they need to rush into doing it in that at Payback or Money in the Bank. It's a big matchup, so they can wait to do that. So we got 15 minutes left. We got 2 or 3 topics left to talk about. So I just don't want. We are going to be talking about John Cena and Bray Wyatt. That whole shenanigan thing. We'll be talking about that in just a minute because it was the main event of the show. But I do want to take a few minutes to talk about this. Cody Rhodes and Goldust might finally be feuding with each other because after last night's Raw, or on last night's Raw, they faced the Usos non-title matchup. Lost in about 3 minutes or so after the matchup. Cody Rhodes walked off on Goldust. And that was the end of that. So, and I was complaining about this last week, that the reason why they lose these random matches for no apparent reason makes no sense unless they're going to build towards a split. And now they finally are. So, and I didn't think it would happen because I know Goldust said at one point in time he only wanted the match to happen at WrestleMania. And I think they could have done it at WrestleMania had they sped this process up and not built towards it, because right now no one cares because they're not as hot as they were a few months ago. But even still, RJ, I want to get your thoughts on the whole Cody Rhodes Goldust thing, and I before you go, I just want to say that Goldust I think should be the heel.
Yeah. And
I think he might get the better reaction, the better nostalgia reaction, but Cody Rhodes is the face, or a future face of the company in my opinion. future champ, in my opinion. I think he could be.
I think he could be a world heavyweight champion. I don't know if face of the company. But
no. That's not what I meant. No, a future world champ is what I meant.
Yeah.
No, not face of the. No, that's not what I meant. But one of the future faces of the company, like in one, you know what I mean, like Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns. So I think he has a very bright future. Goldust should be the one to turn heel, in my opinion, because Cody Rhodes is a heel for like 5 years before he finally turned last year. So going back to that, and he was a good heel, but I think he has potential as a babyface too. So your thoughts on them potentially breaking up and feuding?
The only good thing about them potentially feuding is that there would be an actual storyline that for the mid card they'd actually beef up a pay-per-view and actually have meaning to it.
Yes.
Instead of seeing these stupid matches that no one cares about because they have no meaning to it, this would actually have a good storyline. Two brothers finally breaking up and finally going against each other that we've been waiting for a while.
Yes.
And actually give the mid-card a beef up for something that we'd actually care about, a nice storyline, and it would actually make good pay-per-view and good TV.
All I ask is that they not pull another Miz and Kofi on these guys, and by that I mean, because remember when The Miz turned heel last November on Kofi? They had a match 6 days later on the pre-show that meant nothing, and they had a random feud that meant nothing, and the matches meant nothing. But
I don't think they'll do that. But
but I just don't hope they rush this by having them face each other on the pre-show, because this is a big match. Because a lot of people, myself included, have been waiting for this for like 3 years now, since like 2011. It's a big match. It's brother versus brother. Goldust he doesn't have a lot of stroke in the company, but I mean he's a veteran. I don't think he would allow that match to be put in the pre-show of all places. You know what I mean?
He can't do anything about it though.
He can't do anything about it, but I think he'd be. I don't know. I think it's
they
disrespect.
respect for him not to put it in the pre-show.
They were the hottest acts in the company like 3 months ago. You know what I mean? So I think they deserve better than that. But I definitely agree with you, RJ, in that it's a good feud for the mid card that isn't over a championship. So that's awesome. So here's hoping they continue to go through with it. And even if Cody Rhodes turns heel, it's fine as long as they're feuding, and the match should be very good too.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, your thoughts on the potential breakup and feud from Cody Rhodes and Goldust?
Well, this is going to be a great feud. Like you said, I and many others have been looking forward to this for a very long time, and it didn't seem like it was going to happen, but obviously now it is, and it should be a great feud. Cody Rhodes is a great superstar. I like him as a face. Like you guys said, he could be a top WWE superstar in the next few months even, but definitely in the next couple of years. Tons of talent in him. But Cody Rhodes and Goldust could turn out to be a great feud. Now I don't know how long this will last. Probably till a pay-per-view, and then break off. But then I don't understand what they're going to do after that, like the whole tag team breakup. Like we've seen in the past, Titus O'Neil, Darren Young. Look at them now.
Tons of funk, yeah.
Titus O'Neil. We see Titus just losing like he did like an hour ago on main event to Sheamus. Just been losing. So and Darren Young hasn't even been on. Apparently he got injured at a house show or something.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm thinking they're a great tag team, but I mean, if they're not going to do anything with them, they've killed all of their momentum in the last few months or so. So I'm fine if they stick together. I'm fine if they're feuding. Just got to do something with them, because wasting them is complete waste of their talent. But that you bring up a good point. What they do with them afterward, I have no idea. Cody Rhodes, I think, would be a good contention.
I think if they do eventually, obviously break up, I think what they should do is if this actually just came in my head when I was thinking about it.
Go right ahead.
Literally, they should probably do like SummerSlam. Wait till SummerSlam. Wait till something meaningful for a nice mid-card.
Yes. Put them in Money in the Bank or something. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Then maybe one screws the other one.
Yes.
But they should do, because Goldust is not that done, they should have brother versus brother, career match.
Yes.
Cody beats Goldust at SummerSlam. He goes, shakes his hand, gives Goldust his last hurrah, like he's out of the business, and then move Cody Rhodes on more, and then Goldust is done.
Yes.
And that'd be a great match.
Yes. Yes, that makes a lot of sense, because Goldust's contract runs out at SummerSlam. And he's not re-signing. I don't think he should resign. No. I love Goldust. He's been looking great since his return. There's nothing left to do with him. I don't want to see him stick around and be used as like as a joke. You know what I mean? No, not Kane, but because I mean like competing on superstars and losing like R-Truth. You know what I mean? It's a waste. So even if Cody Rhodes is a heel, I would love to do that. You keep him face. Yes. Hashtag book it. WWE Creative. Listen to it right now. book that for SummerSlam.
Book it.
Knowing WWE, like I said, they'll put it in the pre-show for next week. But I would love your scenario that they built it. Like with Sandow, they built that up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had the whole turn at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. They had a good match at SummerSlam. The aftermath was terrible. That's besides the point. But the feud itself was very, very good. So from there, for the final few minutes, we'll be talking about the main event segment on this show. We had John Cena versus either Luke Harper and Eric Rowan in a 2-on-1 handicap matchup, or the entire Wyatt family in a 3-on-1 handicap matchup. And the WWE Universe, or the Cena haters, voted the 3-on-1.
Creative.
Or WWE Creative. I don't know. I've heard reports that it's not rigged, so I don't know what to believe. But either way, we got the 3-on-1 handicap matchup last night on Raw. It was a solid matchup. It didn't bother me. It was okay. It wasn't all that exciting or anything. It was creepy. I think the highlight of that matchup was definitely Bray Wyatt's mannerisms, the singing, the dancing, the Exorcist walk thing that he does. I thought that was awesome. And the crowd didn't really sing with him when he was singing. He's got the whole world in his hands after the matchup and whatever. But aside from that, though, I thought this was great. The match itself was very, very good. And the steel cage match, it helped build towards the steel cage matchup at Extreme Rules, which I hope Bray Wyatt wins. Otherwise, this whole feud is a complete waste of time. Because otherwise, what's the point in having John Cena go over twice? So, and I didn't like the fact that John Cena was on the verge of winning before they broke up the DQ. That didn't make any sense to me personally. Because John Cena was against all the odds, and then he was just about to win before they broke it up. That didn't make any sense. But
I thought it was DQ'd at the beginning. I thought they DQ'd them.
No, they didn't.
No.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, it was a bit confusing, but the big talking point here is what I want to talk about. Some people are saying, and the whole story now is that Bray Wyatt, that promo, because when you came in, I missed some of the promo, but apparently from what he said, he was saying that he's taking John Cena's fan base. Like, he's a cult leader, so it makes sense. Yeah. But he's, like, hypnotizing them or brainwashing them, so to speak, and carrying them over to the dark side, you know what I mean? So, a lot of people are saying, oh, this means John Cena's turning heel. So, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Ever.
I said that around Survivor Series 2011 when he's going to turn on The Rock. WrestleMania last year if he was going to turn on The Rock. The whole Rise Above Hate thing. Yeah. When he was feuding with CM Punk at Money in the Bank a couple years ago, I thought he would turn on CM Punk. There's so many missed opportunities for him to turn heel that I think at this point it's a running gag. Like, let's turn Cena heel. Let's tease a Cena turn heel turn here. So I don't see it happening. So a lot of people should just give that up already.
It's like Bray Wyatt could also never turn face, I feel like.
No. They're not going to do a double turn.
He's always heel.
Yeah, like there was a report like earlier today that was saying, oh, they'll wait until the Shield goes heel before Bray Wyatt goes face. But even then, I don't think the Shield should turn heel anytime soon. Yeah. They're great as faces. A lot of potential. They're money faces. And Bray Wyatt is phenomenal as a heel. I think he could flourish as a face at some point down the line. He is popular, but for right now, he should definitely... Yes, solo, yeah.
But the thing is, like I said, the whole feud, like, right now is going, but what are they going to do with Cena after the feud?
Yes.
If anything, if they do want to put Cena heel, like, maybe have him with the Wyatt family, maybe have something going, like, maybe they actually get somewhere, like, win the tag team titles, which could be something that's new.
I hear you.
A new thing, and then maybe Cena screws Wyatt, and then they lose the titles, and then he's face again. I don't know. I feel like
my only problem with that is that it would put Cena more over than Wyatt because it's like the whole Nexus thing when he joined Nexus, and I was all for that. I thought it was awesome, but they botched it by having to destroy every freaking member of the Nexus every week. You know what I mean? And John Cena went over in the end. So if we want Bray Wyatt, and I think if Cena comes out on top in this feud, it's just pointless.
Stupid. Exactly. It's a waste of time.
I hear what you're saying, and I know it would be cool to see him like with the Wyatt family, but a lot of people know he'll just turn back face eventually.
Because I feel like if once the Cena feud ends with Wyatt, I feel like
I don't know what he's going to do.
Wyatt will get. I feel like Wyatt will get over and should get over.
Yeah.
Cena will have no direction. He'll be off to the side. I think Wyatt might go on a feud with Bryan, which I could definitely see because he's a top heel, and then maybe at SummerSlam could see Brock versus Bryan, but that's another story. But like after Payback, maybe Money in the Bank, have him wrestle against Daniel Bryan for the title, and I feel like Bray Wyatt obviously has more future with him because he's a heel. Yeah, top heel. Cena has a stale gimmick which kind of kills him too, but like I feel like he has no direction after the Bray Wyatt feud. They obviously have a direction for him because it's Cena, but in my head, I feel like they don't have anything for him.
Yeah, Cena, Cesaro, I guess, like I said, would make the most sense because everything else right now, Batista's leaving, Triple H is an active guy in the roster. Him and Orton, I would no. We saw that like 3 months ago, and we've seen that like a million times. Cena and Orton, I don't need to see again. Him and Wyatt are feuding right now. What?
I don't know. Maybe you could see it. Like, maybe, like, have them, like, fight, and maybe that could be, like, a number one contenders match for the title.
Maybe.
Something meaning, because then, like I said, then they're not going to do anything with Orton now, which is stupid.
True.
So maybe, if anything, maybe they do put him with Cena.
We'll see.
We've seen it before. Obviously, they've done other storylines. They've done it over and over again.
It's always good.
Like, I've seen Orton versus Triple H 100 times, but they've always had good matches, so I could care less. So I feel like you could revitalize that feud, but...
They got the Shield in there, too, so I don't know what they'll do with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see. But, Jonathan, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. Your thoughts on the main event match from last night and a potential, quote-unquote, Cena heel turn. Do you think that's plausible?
Cena will never turn heel, in my opinion. Like you said, there was tons of opportunities in the past, and it's just not likely at all. Bray Wyatt he's great in the ring, honestly. He's great on the mic. He's just an overall great talent. The dancing, the singing, the crawling upside down. It's just brilliant. Bray Wyatt, he's brilliant. All of it. So we'll see what happens at Extreme Rules. We'll see what WWE has in store in the steel cage match. But I don't see John Cena coming up on top. I see Bray Wyatt winning. Now, afterward, once again, I'm not too sure what happens after this. Like you said, Cesaro, Cena, that would be great. But Bray Wyatt, maybe the Wyatt family, like you guys said, could win some tag team gold. But I'm not sure about Bray, what's next in store for him.
Yeah, only time will tell. Like we said before, RJ was pitching that they might do a rubber match at Payback. And I don't think it would serve a purpose if John Cena went over in the rubber match. Like if Bray wins here and then Bray Wyatt wins there. Or if Bray wins here and then Cena wins there.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bray Wyatt would have to get over him.
Yeah, the feud needs to end. I think we can all agree on that. But just where they go from here is the biggest question. But I don't know. Right now we're just kind of in a holding pattern until Extreme Rules. Like we said before, Bryan versus Kane. The match is happening. It's just kind of in the air as far as how they're going to build it and stuff like that. Shield versus Evolution. I thought the build last night, it wasn't terrible, but I thought it wasn't as good as it was last week, you know what I mean? Like when they were beating the crap out of the Shield, and then tonight they have to, like you were saying at the start of the show, before the show started, like how they have to hide behind 11 people, you know what I mean? So, any final thoughts? Raw, Extreme Rules.
I was thinking about this. Also, like I feel like how like they've redone all the pay-per-views. It kind of screws up the whole schedule too. Like they used to have Backlash and then Judgment Day.
Yes.
Which Judgment Day used to be one of the best pay-per-views ever.
I love Backlash too.
I love Backlash too, but I feel like they should have done like if they kept the same concept, it would make more sense for Cena versus Bray Wyatt at Judgment Day. It would make more sense, and that would end the feud. Like Judgment Day ended feuds.
Yes.
Payback, it's just a recycled new PG era Judgment Day, which is not good at all.
Yeah, Payback is like another word for Backlash. It's weird because they took all their old pay-per-views and gave them like lackluster names.
And they gave them all dumb names, and now no one cares. Like Battleground, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Bring me back King of the Ring and
King of the Ring,
No
exactly.
Mercy and Unforgiven, Armageddon. Like, come on, like all these new crappy generic names are awful.
I think they should have had the King of the Ring pay-per-view in July instead of Battleground. To be honest with you,
exactly. And they need to get rid of like the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. That's so stupid.
No, that's a waste.
They should instead of having like these like specialty pay-per-views, they should make feuds just random at
TLC.
these big pay-per-views. Exactly. They should have like these matches just at other pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Like no one
Doesn't
cares.
feed as much.
The only one that should be the same is Money in the Bank. I always look forward to Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank is
Money in
always
the Bank's
awesome.
always a good show. So that's the only one that I would keep from the new WWE PG era pay-per-views.
Yeah.
But besides that, Raw wasn't that good. But next week, hopefully it's better. Extreme Rules is in 2 weeks, not this coming.
Yeah, that just shocks me. Blows my mind.
So now that I've seen that, maybe Bryan will miss Raw, but I don't know. I thought when you said I thought it was next week, but then I looked at it, it's 2 weeks, so he could miss Raw, but I don't know. Besides that, hopefully Raw will be better next week for the week before episode of Extreme Rules. Match of the week, I'm just going to throw it out there. Orton versus Mick Foley, Backlash 2004 in a street fight or something like that. Very good match. And then shout-outs. I'm going to do shout-outs as always.
Right ahead.
Molly, Shannon Martin, John Keane, Tim Bredberg, Mike Mandini, Alex Garmond, and Anthony Plant. And at WrestleRant, get a follow.
Shout outs, Manders88. Shout out Brian Sussingham. Those are the two most important people in my life.
Perfect. Sounds great, boys. And also confirmed for next week's Raw, it's been confirmed that guilty pleasure of mine here, Hugh Jackman will be on next week's Raw. I like the whole thing with Zack Ryder from a couple years ago, so I'm glad that he'll be on Raw. So I don't know what he'll do. He was doing something with Damian Sandow and Dolph Ziggler, but that's next week's Raw. We have TNA Sacrifice on Sunday. We spent all of 0 minutes on. No one cares about that anyway. I didn't even know the pay-per-view was this Sunday, to be honest with you. I don't even think we'll review that next week because... so here's the deal.
Who's in the title match?
What?
Who's in the title match?
Eric Young and Magnus. A rematch of the title. It's funny, though, because the matches they have on the show... the matches they have set up for the show, it looks more like Extreme Rules than Extreme Rules does, because they have an I Quit match between Storm and Gunner. They have a tables match between Rude and Ray. They have a committed match between Mr. Anderson and Samuel Shaw.
Who the hell's that?
Who is that, or what is that?
Both.
Samuel. I know it's committed like the Psych Hospital. Stupid.
Yeah, it's TNA. What do you expect? You know what I mean?
What's Angle doing?
I think he's in a tag team match against EC3 and Rockstar Spud with Willow.
Stupid. I hate Willow. Oh my god. That's why I don't watch TNA, because it sucks.
So yeah, TNA Sacrifice on Sunday. Don't think we'll be reviewing it next week. Just stay tuned for that. If you're a TNA fan, I'm sorry. I'll have my review up on my website anyway. But even still, though, that's this Sunday. We probably won't have time to talk about it next week because I botched this on the last show. But when we were talking, so next week, April 29th, good friend of mine, Bull Dread, will be on for a brief interview at the start of the show. Pro wrestler here in the Northeast area, so we'll be talking to him at the start of the show. We'll be talking Raw. We got Extreme Rules, so we'll be doing Extreme Rules.
Might extend Raw like half an hour then.
What?
We might extend the show like half an hour.
Oh no,
I need a rant. I need a rant. So
if Raw's not all that memorable, we'll just be talking Extreme Rules. So we'll see.
Whatever.
Yeah, we can always go overtime if we need to.
It's therapy, so needs to get it out.
Yeah,
seriously.
Of course. So we got him on April 29th. The New England Championship Wrestling show here in Beverly is happening not on May 3rd, but on May 10th. I screwed that up. It's the Iron. I know I botched it. I'm wrong. I thought the pay-per-view was in mid-May. I don't know. They're screwing with me.
Grammys look at the schedule.
I know. So yeah, NECW show on May 10th. So to promote that, we've got the promoter of the organization. We've got Shelton Goldberg here on the show on May 3rd. The following week after that is our final show, I think. No, it's May 6th.
May 12th.
May 12th is the
last show.
Is the last show, yeah. So we got more news and notes on that as it comes closer. So that being said, though, Jonathan, thank you for joining us for one thing. Thank you for talking Raw, Network, all that good stuff. We'll hopefully have you back on here at some point in the near future. So before we let you go, make sure to plug your Facebook, Twitter, all that great stuff.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's great talking with both of you guys. And just check out on YouTube, Mr. WWE Report, wrestling news, previews, and predictions. And on Twitter at KillaJF for live tweeting during wrestling shows, some other sports events, tweeting there. And also on Twitter, Mr. WWE Report as well for some links on the videos that are posted on YouTube.
Sounds good, brother. Thanks again for joining us. And also, like I said before, we got Bull Dread on April 29th, Shelton Goldberg on May 3rd, and then that's May 6th, I'm sorry. Then May 12th is our final show. So on the Twitter, WrestleRant, Facebook, Graham Jason Matthews, YouTube, same thing, Bleacher Report, same thing. For the archived editions, go to nexterrawrestling.weebly.com for the full hour show, every show dating back to October. The whole stuff's up there, so make sure to go check it out.
Check it out.
The final thing, of course, WrestleRant airs every Tuesday night right here on EC Radio, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 Central Time, right here on EC Radio. So make sure to check it out every Tuesday night. We go live, like I said last week, interview, Raw review, Extreme Rules predictions, big show lined up for next week.
Jesus, might have to beef it up.
We got it, brother. Lots of WrestleRant
we might have to expand the show for next week for Extreme Rules predictions. I don't know.
We got a lot to talk about next week. But with all that being said, guys, thank you for joining us. We'll see you right next week.
Team WWE, baby. Screw TNA.
Believe in the Shield.
We'll see you back here next Tuesday night. Thanks for joining us, folks. This is Graham Jason Matthews signing out.
Off.